in late October 2025, I did a round trip of 3,300 kilometres to travel to Tenterfield in northern New South Wales, not far from the Queensland border. There were two essential stops for me: Gunnedah, where the breaker had definitely been and spent some time in Gunnedah, and Tenterfield, where Major Thomas, the defence lawyer for the trials of the bushveld carbineers, lived for many years and is buried. But along the way, in western New South Wales, I was determined to document as many monuments as I could. So these episodes are covering that road trip. They follow a format. Anything along the way that I found of interest that I filmed. As I approach the towns where the monuments are, I like to read out a snippet from the book that I use, The War with Johnny Boer, just to give you guys an idea of the scenery as we approach these towns, and then to show you the Boer War monuments. And I hope you enjoy them. Stop for a little break here at Jerilderie, which is only on the map for one reason at all, and that is Ned Kelly and his gang. We're a fair way into New South Wales. Why they came all the way here, I'm not really sure. But this newspaper and the printing press, as you come into Jerilderie, it has a picture of a quill pen and a letter. That's because there was a letter penned in this place called the Jerilderie letter. Printing press was the attraction that brought the Kellys to the gang. The letter is 7,500 words, known as the Jerilderie letter. Ned dictated to Joe. A rambling, passionate letter full of ideas, and he explains his actions. But part of the deal with holding the hostages was that this letter would be published, but they never published it until about 100 years later. So yeah, they've really adopted their link to Ned Kelly, this little town. And in fact, over there at the pub, the Royal Mail, is the Kelly Bistro. So, if you follow the Ned Kelly story, there's only really, I think, 3 towns that are relevant. There's Euroa, where they robbed the bank. There's Glenrowan, where they made their last stand. And there's Jerilderie, which seemed to be more of getting the letter pressed. So you can see here, Kelly's Bistro. Of course, when they came here, they didn't have the armour. The armour was only made for Glenrowan. I'm about an hour and a half from Narrandera, which is where I'm going to stay the night. I think that'll do me, because I left a little later this morning and the daylight savings just kicked over. So we'll see up there if that place is open.
It'd be good if they were selling some goodies, but it is a late on a Sunday afternoon, so probably not.
The 2nd New South Wales Mounted Rifles and the 3rd New South Wales Imperial Bushmen, working with Lieutenant Colonel Williams' column, was having spectacular success. One of their most important hauls was achieved at Base Lachter, north of Noordgedacht Farm, not to be confused with Bessieslachter further south. The column coming from Wolmaranstad left that town at 1 a.m. on Monday the 19th of August. The correspondent of the Sydney Morning Herald, who was with Williams' column, tells us what happened next. The source is the Sydney Morning Herald, the 17th of September 1901. Quote, "The march was admirably conducted, and just as dawn broke we came upon a sight that banished the desire for sleep from even the drowsiest. There was a number of campfires still alight, a certain indication that the enemy had been there, while inspection showed the marks of numerous wagons and cattle. Trot! Was Colonel Williams' order, and the whole column, headed by Lieutenant Colonel Lassiter and his men, with Captain McNaughton's pom-pom, opened out in a first-rate style. A mile or two had been covered when we came upon a broken-down wagon, and we knew we were on the trail properly this time. A couple of miles more were rapidly travelled, and then the sight from the top of the ridge of some white-kilted wagons away in the distance caused us to break into a gallop. And famous gallop it was, for our horses, having been well cared for, were in fine fettle and seemed to enter into the spirit of the chase. We flew along in extended order, the men in each squadron keeping in splendid line, and at last came the ominous flip-flop of Mauses from the heart of the large patch of scrub in our front. We galloped on until we could discern mounted men, and then opened fire, killing at least one of the enemy, who later on was buried by one of our own men. The Boers' fire slackened and gradually died away, only on an occasional bullet finding its way towards us as we continued our swift advance. The attack was so dashing in its character that it was quite irresistible, and away the Boers galloped, some to the right, some to the left, and others in front, leaving their convoy, which also had broken into several parts, to take care of itself. We eagerly followed, and a couple of miles away met with a somewhat strong resistance from a large party of Boers, who turned on us and maintained a heavy rifle fire for some time, eventually, however, remounting their horses and galloping madly away. So the whole convoy, or rather the greater part of it, for some vehicles did get away, one of which it was afterwards learned was occupied by Commandant van der Merwe, remained in our hands. Mule wagons, donkey wagons, ox wagons, Cape carts, spiders, and indeed vehicles of almost every description, together with herds of cattle, were brought in by various parties. It was a most valuable capture, and cost us not one single casualty. A number of prisoners too were taken, including Lieutenant Dutoit, who had been under the Transvaal government Director of Telegraphs for the southwestern district, and whose special duty with the Boer troops was to manipulate the telegraph wires. Among the families that had been trekking with the convoy were those of two of General Delare's brothers. With one of these was the famous Boer leader's mother, a fine old dame of 84 years, who assured me that for 15 months she had been trekking about, often having little food save mealie. She was glad, she said, that all the wandering from place to place was over at last, for she pathetically remarked, "I'm so old and tired that I want to rest." The old lady was exceedingly proud of her famous son, who, she said, was a gentleman, and one who, if the positions were reversed, would treat English women just as the Australian and English officers had treated the Boer women. Up to the capture of the convoy we had travelled 30 miles, 12 or 15 of which we had covered at a gallop, and we had about 25 to do to reach the spot where it was agreed the remaining of our troops forming Colonel Williams' column should proceed with our own convoy. So we rested a couple of hours and then set out with our captured wagons and stock, having first destroyed a great quantity of ammunition that had been found in the wagons. The return march of 20 miles on a dark night, bringing along upwards of 100 vehicles, many of which were often without drivers, besides many hundreds of cattle, could not have been accomplished by any other troops. The convoy captured consisted of 17 prisoners of war, 62 families, 16 rifles, 8,000 rounds of ammunition, 25 horses, 38 mules, 1,550 cattle, 106 wagons and carts, and 2 Boer ambulances, which had been released. The market value of the stock exceeds £25,000.
This is Narrandera caravan park. I've got my chair, got my stuff to make a cup of tea, cup of coffee, swag, a little change room there if I want to have a sit at the table, and the swimming pool's open, and put my togs on now and get into it. Okay, the swimsuit I got in Brakpan or in South Africa still fits me quite well. 2 years ago. That's good. And the pool is looking good. So many dead kangaroos on that long, flat, straight road from pretty much from Deniliquin here. Highway of death. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick swim and get organised and go for dinner. Wow. Oh. How's this look? Fantastic. Okay. Alright, let's see how she Anyway, I've got to say, it's cold. It is cold. Oh yeah, there's a little bit of bench here. It is cold, but always quite hot, so it's going to work out just fine. Did 400 and something kilometres, about 440 today, but I left late, as I said, so tomorrow I'll probably be leaving at about 7, you know. Might even hit Dubbo by tomorrow, I don't know. So yeah, there is a monument in Narrandera. I need to find it, so that'll be the first thing after we have our coffee tomorrow. That's better. Nice now. Not for me. Okay, that'll be me. Going to get changed again. Just finished dinner at the Hingwa. I've got to say, I ordered the Szechuan pepper, Szechuan chili combination. Man, with a small fried rice, I could hardly finish it. Well, actually, I didn't finish it. Mind you, I did have I had the prawn sesame toast as a entree, but that's okay on my holidays. Place over there, the merchants, general merchants, established in 1881. I was going to walk down to where I think is the monument, but fair dinkum. I doubt I could waddle that far. Absolutely stuffed, and all the driving today. So yeah, very nice friendly staff in the Chinese. Not the best Chinese I've ever had, but good enough. Oh. So, can of Coke, 2 bottles of water, 600ml bottles, entree, small fried rice, and Szechuan pepper, Szechuan chili I should say, combination. It all came to $65 in this day and age. It's about right. So I saw this park with a memorial in it down the bottom of this street, so let's have a look at the old Criterion Hotel. It doesn't look like there's much going on there. There's a guy going back to his car. Make sure I don't hit anybody. Oops. Oh, it's quite a warm night. I'm going to go in the swag. I might not even need the doona. Oh, let's turn up here. What else do we have a choice of on a Sunday night in Narrandera? Fish and chip. Looks like it's open, so combined with like a plant shop. Interesting, you might buy pot plants and get your fish and chips. Oh man. Remember how to get back to the caravan park. Whew. And that's the advantage with the daylight savings. I did go to Coles too. I got some snacks, like some tomatoes and cucumbers for tomorrow. I thought I could snack on. But one of these oddities is you can't buy knives. I thought I might need a serrated knife to cut the tomatoes. Oh. But I don't think they sell knives in supermarkets anymore. This is the knife violence. Oh no, this is a one-way. Oh shit. Oh, hang on. So just in the middle here, looks like you would have a monument for the boys from the Boer War. Yeah, so we'll park here, have a look around, try and walk some of this Chinese food off. Nice little memorial garden in the middle of town. Oh, man. Oh. Really feels like a tropical evening. There's a warm wind, a warm breeze. Oh, I reckon down here, the oldest one. This one would be probably World War II. Looks newer. That's First World War. Beautiful old fountain here. I'd be tempted to get in. Oh. Hey. That's move because the battery's starting to complain. Alright, we're going to move a bit. I reckon this is it. Look at this. Closest to the main road. It's looking very... Yes, it is. Yeah, it's beautiful. Right. These gardens were dedicated to the soldiers. This is for the local volunteers who served in the South African campaign. Unveiled 1902. That's what I'm talking about. Isn't that gorgeous? Of the Narrandera district volunteers. Here we go. Rudd, De Freya, Hudson. Oh. There is one casualty, a fellow that died in Pretoria, January. Oh, I've got Andrew died in Cape Town, February 1901. Sorry, 1900. JAS, Andrew. We've got Peverden, died Pretoria, January 1901. That would probably be from disease. And Smith died in Middelburg, December 1901. I've been to Middelburg. I think that's where the Australians lost at Wilmansrust. I didn't bring my camera with me, but I'll stop in the morning and I might stop again now. Come over with my camera and get a few photos because the battery's running out on this. And this is a beautiful fountain. Beautiful. Sound of water does something to us as humans, doesn't it? I noticed that other fountain in Deniliquin had all these coins thrown in. I couldn't believe no one had been in and grabbed them. 50-cent coins, some of them too.
So this is from the monument's website. It says the monument commemorates those who served in the South African Boer War. 28 Narrandera men volunteered for the Boer War, first force sailing from Sydney on the 17th of January 1900. The monument bears the names of these soldiers. Among them was Alf de Freya, who won a Queen's scarf. Queen Victoria had hand-knitted 4 scarves to be presented for bravery, and after de Freya had rescued a wounded mate under heavy fire, his colonel recommended him for the award. It was reportedly an equivalent award of the Victoria Cross. Now, there is another episode where I talked about these scarves. It's said that Queen Victoria started them, but her eyesight was failing her, so her daughter finished them. She gave some to the Canadians as well, and as well as some to her own British boys. I'll see if I can find a photo of one of the scarves. But yeah, that was interesting that de Freya, who's mentioned here, won the scarf. So this is what they say about the monument. The unveiling of the Soldiers' Memorial and the opening of the new fire station took place on Wednesday. The Soldiers' Memorial, which has been erected by subscription, is suitably inscribed. It bears on one of the panels the names of troopers Smith, Verdon and Andrew, who lost their lives in the campaign. Other panels are inscribed with the names of the soldiers who achieved distinction, numbering 17, including Lieutenant de Freya, Queen's Scarf, and Mr. Rudd, who was several times mentioned in dispatches. The form of the memorial was a marble obelisk, 14 feet high, and it's erected at the corner of East and Twynham Streets, the most prominent part of the town. That was in the Sydney Morning Herald, New South Wales, on the 18th of December 1902.
Well, I've made my cup of tea with the billy, and all the bedding stuff is in the swag, although I don't think I'm going to fit it all in. It's a full moon. I've got plenty of mosquito spray on. I'm having a relaxing, refreshing cup of tea, and this is what you come out here for, I believe, the tranquility. Actually, I'm glad that I got that long cord, because stretches all the way from the power box across through my car, and I can power the stuff up in front of my swag, so that's real good. Alright, so I think I'm also understanding why you go to bed early, because I'm pretty knackered, but tomorrow will be a big day.